Hey everyone, it's Wendy, and if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe right now. I am at a very special place with a very special person today. This is Julie Reed Yeboah. She is basically, she knows everything about string instruments. She's an instrument maker, instrument doctor. I call her my cello doctor. So today we want to ask her some questions about how to care for your string instrument. So, how do you care for your string instrument? Tip number one.
Well, tip number one is when you play your instrument, you need to wipe the rosin off after you've played.
Yeah.
You wipe it off the strings, to have a dry cloth that you actually launder every now and then. Some people use those microfiber cloths, which you can use on the top of the instrument and get off the bulk of the rosin.
Yeah.
You should have it professionally cleaned maybe once a year.
So that's tip number two?
Yes.
Have it professionally cleaned. So wait, what does that mean? Because actually I just did that with Julie. I just had my cello professionally cleaned. But what does that mean exactly when you clean it?
Yeah. Well, there's rosin buildup on the instrument. We can professionally take care of that. I wouldn't recommend that you try to use any products to do this yourself. Also, the sweat, the areas where you are touching the instrument gets a lot of sweat and it turns into sort of dirt, dark dirt. Also, it takes the varnish off, which leaves then exposed wood, and you need to have that wood at least covered in a clear varnish so that it protects the wood for the future.
Mm-hmm. And also sometimes, like for example, I had all these dents, right?
Yes, yeah.
Like I bumped into the cello into places like accidentally. So like, is that part of the cleaning also?
Yes, the part of the cleaning is just sort of a minor retouch, which just covers the areas where you've nicked it and there's white wood showing. Then we put a little bit of color and some varnish on that just to make sure that that wood is protected. Otherwise it just gets dirty and then it's just black and looks awful.
Right.
So,
What's tip number three for taking care of your instrument?
I think the main thing is to just be very aware that the instrument is made out of wood. It's also, they go through changes because of the humidity and the dryness or the humidity. And so you just need to monitor. If it's not sounding right, probably take it to a shop. It could be that the seams are open. Open seams can also cause cracks on the top or the back, and they're expensive repairs, so you want to avoid those.
Right.
You just have to be sort of aware of your instrument and how it's functioning for you. Humidity is very important. If we live in New York, of course, the humidity in the winter can get way below 20%.
Very dry, yeah.
And in the summer, it can go up to, 80 or 90%. So you have to try and keep it as regulated as possible.
And how do you do that?
In the winter, we use a humidifier in our room. And then with the instrument, we would use some kind of humidification system like a Stretto, or there's a new one called Boveda.
Oh, yeah?
Which does both. It takes care of humidity and dryness.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know about that. So
Yeah.
do you just leave it inside?
No, not inside. You put it in the case.
In the case?
Yeah. The Stretto system, you put water in and you have to fill it maybe once every few days.
Okay.
Dampits, in the past, that's what people used, which go inside the instrument.
I mean, that's what I've done for years. It's like this little green thing. It's long.
It's
like a skinny sponge, and you put it in the F-holes. But then, like, I hear that people are not careful, and they put too much water into that little dampit sponge, and then, like, the water comes out, drips, and that kind of hurts the instrument. That's really bad.
And the other alternative is that people put it in and think they're doing something, but they let it just get completely dried out, so it's doing nothing.
Right. That has happened to me.
So now we have systems that don't actually really touch the instrument.
Oh, okay.
And they just humidify inside the case.
Oh.
In the winter we let it get down pretty low, just because we're afraid that people will take things out and then they will crack.
Yeah.
That's the biggest source of cracks, is when it gets very dry or when the humidity level changes radically.
Right. And my question is, if you do have a humidifier also, right, additionally at home, like, how close or far away should the humidifier be?
Well, it depends on the room. I mean, you can buy humidification systems, humidifiers that give you a certain square footage that it should cover.
Okay.
So you would just put it in one corner of the room if it's 300 square feet. There would be one that would be adequate for that. And you just have to make sure that you change the water, put enough water in
But don't put it like too close, guys.
Don't put it very close, and don't.
No.
The ones that have the fog coming out is probably also not very good for the varnish. So
Oh, really?
don't put it too close.
Yeah, don't put it too close.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's tip number 4?
Tip number 4 is the health of your bridge. Probably make sure that your bridge is straight. There's
Okay.
several ways to look at it. You can look down from the scroll.
Like this?
No, I.
Oh,
show
but like here?
Yeah, like here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just show you. So you put your nose, so the center of your nose goes to the center of this ridge here, and then you keep both eyes open, and you look at the end of the fingerboard and the end of the bridge. So that shows you this way if it's right.
Oh, I did not know that.
Of course. Well,
This is why
and then the second way is to look at it from the side.
Uh-huh.
And there should be, the back is relatively straight and the top has an arch to it.
Right.
But it should look like there's a right angle. If you take the highest plane here
Yeah.
and strike a right angle, it should look like it's a right angle on the back.
Oh.
Right. The next thing is you want to look at the bridge straight on. Sorry. So straight on, and you can see if the bridge is like, bending in one way or another,
Right.
forward or back. That'll
Okay.
change your string length.
Yeah.
And then the string length is going to cause problems for you when you're doing, chords and fifths and things like that.
Right. But I mean, is this something that we can fix, or we have to take it to someone like you?
No, you can. I mean, most people, you can be taught to do these things, and I
Okay.
think it's kind of the responsibility, possibly, of the teacher to start early.
Oh, I'm
To
afraid
teach
to
them.
move the bridge.
I know.
I feel like the slightest movement affects the sound. Like the
It does.
slightest.
It does. Yeah, you have to be very careful because you can tip it over. It's not glued on or anything like
Yeah.
that. So you just have to be very careful how you adjust it, and just, you're pulling back as much as you're moving.
Mm-hmm.
But you just have to look at it and say, for instance, if one side, the A side, is being pulled forward because you're using the pegs more, you can just pull that slightly back. Yeah, you just have to keep it good, well supported.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, last tip. Tip number 5 to care for your instrument. What is it?
I would probably keep make sure that you look at the fingerboard, make sure that it's not too many ripples in it, make sure that it's clean.
Yes.
So then you've got a smooth surface to work with, and
Right.
that then could be done by a professional. Has to be done by a professional.
Yeah, it's kind of like having a whole bunch of potholes
Yeah.
on the fingerboard. Like,
Yeah.
for example,
Yes.
I'm feeling this one right now, and it feels very smooth.
Mhm.
So I know this is
Yeah.
all well planed, but
Yeah. When
My
you look down
yeah.
at, you see like
bumps.
mountains, and then you
Yes.
see like grooves. When you see grooves, it's actually really bad.
But you can also feel it. Like, this is so
Mhm.
smooth.
Yeah.
So you got to take care of that. How often? Which is a couple of times a year?
No,
not a couple
no.
of times. I mean, every
Maybe
other year.
Something like that. It depends on
Yeah.
how much you play, and it depends also on the quality of the
Yeah.
ebony. Sometimes ebony is very porous, and so it gets ripples a lot faster.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Julie, thank you so much
welcome.
for sharing all these
Mhm.
amazing tips for us. And tell us, how can we find you?
Okay, I'm at the corner of Broadway and 57th Street. It's 1776 Broadway,
New York City, that is.
New York City, that is.
And online?
Online at www.readyeboahviolins.com.
Okay. Awesome.
And then, email is contact@readyeboahviolins.com.
Well, thank you so much.
You're
And
welcome.
guys, don't forget to subscribe right here. Leave us a comment. And if you have any other questions, write it down below. Okay. Subscribe too. Thanks. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.